Alright, so if y equals x squared times the sine of x, we want to take the derivative here. We're practicing getting used to these new rules, right? We need to recognize that what y equals on this problem is a product. You've got this piece, this x squared, that's in front of the sine of x, so it's being multiplied to the sine of x, and then the sine of x itself, well, it's its own respective piece. We've got a product rule. So using the product rule to find the derivative, using the proper notation, I write y prime or dy dx. That equals. Following the product rule, I take the derivative of this first piece of the product, right? So derivative of x squared would be 2x. Next part of the product rule states take the second part. Leave it as is. Multiply on. Then add. Next part of the product rule, we take the first part, x squared, we leave it as is. And then we multiply to the derivative of this second piece. The derivative of the sine of x is cosine of x. And how this is all written out, I mean, that's acceptable. We're in the beginning stages here. If it helps you to group some things as you go so you can see each part, it's not a bad practice to follow, because as we keep working with these functions and we have multiple terms in some of the pieces, we'll definitely want the parentheses in there. But either or on this problem. All right, another example. This time let's let f of x equal secant of x over 1 plus tangent of x we recognize on this one the function is a quotient because it's a rational function. So you've got your top piece, your bottom piece, right? Want to find the derivative here, so it's f prime of x is the notation. Using the quotient rule, I take the derivative of the secant of x to start, right? Because that's on top. Derivative of the secant of x. Derivative of the secant of x is secant of x tangent of x. So we start with the derivative of the secant of x. That's the first part. We multiply onto that, well, the denominator, the original denominator, as is. Parentheses are necessary there because you do have a couple of terms. Continuing with the quotient rule, you subtract the numerator, which is the secant of x, as is, and we multiply that to the derivative of the denominator, right? So 1 would go to 0. Derivative of the tangent of x, derivative of the tangent of x is secant squared of x. So secant squared of x goes right here. And that is all over your denominator squared. So denominator unchanged, 1 plus the tangent of x squared. In an unsimplified form, there's your derivative.